Hey everybody, welcome back. Or if this is your first time joining us, welcome. My name's Tim, and on this channel we talk about how to start making music in Ableton. So in previous videos we've gone over how to record guitars and bass in Ableton, and in our last video we just went over drums. So I thought this might be a good time to jump into Midi and show you all of the other sounds that are available to you in Ableton. So in order to cover this, we do need to talk a little bit about chord construction. It's going to be very basic stuff. If you already know your music theory or your name is Jacob Collier, please go ahead and skip ahead. But by the end of this video, I'm going to have a little gift for you that will give you every chord that you will ever possibly need. So music theory can be a little scary, right? There's like a ton of stuff, and how are you gonna learn it all and not get overwhelmed? And that, I think, leads to a defense mechanism with a lot of people I've known, where they'll say things like, I don't want to learn theory because it's gonna make me sound generic. And then there's always the argument that like X famous musician doesn't know music theory, so why should I learn it? And I tend to think that that might be exaggerated. I don't think that you get to the point of being a professional musician without picking up a thing or two. Now, I'm not saying that you have to learn all the theory, but I do think that knowing one or two small things is really going to set you on a road where, as you run into concepts in the future, you'll be able to sort of navigate your way towards them. And at the end of the day, all of this stuff is really just a standardized way of communicating your ideas to other musicians. That's all. It's just a communication protocol. And it's a lot easier than you think. So, at its very basic level, all chords are three notes from a scale. The first note, the third note, and the fifth note. If you play all three of those things at once, you've got a major chord. To make a minor chord, all you have to do is take that third note and drop it down a half step. Now you got a minor chord. So when we hear things like a 2-5-1 progression, or let's say a 1-4-5 in E, it's a very guitar playery thing, all that's referring to is taking the first note in the E major scale, building a chord, the fourth note in the E major scale, building a chord, and the fifth note in the E major scale and building a chord. Welcome to music theory. Not that scary after all. So that's really the foundation of chords. So now when you see something like, and I actually wrote this down, so I have to look at it real quick. I Googled most complex chord, and somebody put C major 9, add 4, add 6 with a flatted 13th and a flatted 5th. It's ridiculous. So if you ever run across something that sounds that intimidating, really, if you look at the beginning of it, you'll see that it's a C major. It's the first, the third, and the fifth note of the C major scale. And the important thing to remember is that all music is based on chords, which is why we can get those metal versions of pop songs, or we can get ukulele covers of really densely produced songs, stuff with a lot of like orchestration and production around it. Because really, when you peel all that stuff away, there's just 3-note clusters happening through that whole song. Okay, so now that you have a basic understanding of music theory, let's invite the theory eggheads back in, jump into Ableton, and apply what we've learned and turn it into sound. So diving into Ableton, today we're going to use a plugin from Spitfire Audio called Labs. It's free, highly recommended that you download it. We're going to use soft piano today, but there's a ton of other completely free instruments that you can download from them. Electric piano, textural pads I have in here, some bass guitar. And if you're in need of acoustic drums, I highly recommend checking out their drum pack, which is really, really good. For now, we're just going to stick with the piano because I think that's sort of the easiest to illustrate chords and whatnot. Just like in the drums video, we're going to come up here and just double click on an empty clip slot and create a blank clip that is 4 bars long. So obviously that opens up into a piano roll. If you want to preview your sounds, if you hit this little headphone thing right here, as you click notes in, you can actually hear what notes you're clicking. So at this point, you can go in a few different directions. If you know how to play piano and have a MIDI keyboard, you can just start playing. If you don't have a keyboard, remember, you can come up here and hit this little keyboard icon, and now your QWERTY keyboard becomes a piano. But if you're not great with key inputs, you can literally draw everything in. So if we head over here to this button that says scale, we're going to drop this into scale mode. So I'm going to click on this, and right now it's set to D major. So any of the notes that are highlighted are in the D major scale. What I can do from here is hit this scale button, and now literally I can't go wrong. Any note that I hit in here is going to be in the D major scale. So let's go back to our idea of creating chords, right? We needed a first, a third, and a fifth. In order to do that here, all we need to do is hit a note, skip a line, skip a line. We have a chord. right? Send this out. We can then copy this, paste it, and move it. Let's just end it there by extending this out. And now we have a chord progression. Okay, so it's kind of pretty. Don't mind it. Though it lacks any kind of human vibe or feel to it, right? It sounds very mechanical and robot-y. So there are kind of 2 points to that. One is, again, like we talked about in drums, are velocities. A piano player is never going to hit the keys with the same amount of force each time. All we need to do is highlight all of these notes and then come over to this randomized velocity. And you'll see down here, all of our velocity settings are pretty much set at 100. As soon as I hit this randomize button, they're all over the place. Let's see how this sounds. All right, it's getting a little better. This note I don't like, so, I mean, you'll manually have to come in and sort of futz with stuff. So it still sounds a little blocky. We can still mess with the timings a little bit by adjusting here. Let's see. Let's do a kind of a roll in here. And you can continue kind of messing with things. So let's move that out a little bit. Let's just make it imperfect, you know? And I think that helps a lot in making everything sound natural. So let's try this again. Yeah, so that's starting to sound a little more real. So now that we have our 3 chords, we need a melody line, right? One of the things that I like to do is to actually create another instance of the same piano. That way I can sort of pan things as well, maybe add different effects to the melody line, that sort of thing. And since we're in scale mode, any notes that I input in will be within key. So let me just randomly pick some notes. Maybe not that one. Try that. I mean, it's silly, but in key. From there, we can go through with our little humanization tricks again, extend things out. Or here's another handy trick. There's this legato button down here. So if we highlight all of these notes and hit the legato button, it'll just extend everything out until the next note begins. Check it out. So you saw those guys. Okay, so we'll check it out. This note is in the chord, so let's move that. So if you spend some time in here, like whistling a melody out or anything, you know, you could probably come up with something pretty cool. There's also some fun stuff that you can do. Let's reverse the entire thing. So this is a way of buying 2 ideas in once. Unlike an audio file, if we were hit to reverse, we get that kind of sound. Because this is just MIDI information, if I just reverse it, it's just playing the notes in reverse order. Kind of creates a new melody. It doesn't always work, I'm not going to lie. Invert is literally what it sounds like, so let's invert it and see how it sounds. Okay. And then we can double time the entire thing as well by hitting this 2, and now... Let me take the loop bracket, move that all the way over. So if you need quicker notes or a quicker input, you can also hit the B button for this brush, and then you can just draw things. Let's see how that sounds. And look at that, I'm Glenn Gould, except without the fingerless gloves. Okay, and since this is all MIDI, I can change my instruments to whatever I want to. So let's try this electric chorus out. Okay, let's be a little silly and take our melody and turn it into an ARP. Okay, so and I bet you if we were to throw some drums on there, we'd have a kind of cool sounding loop. So let's check that out real quick. I'm going to drag this over here, hit play. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, so I did also promise you guys all the chords that you will ever need. I'm sure you guys have seen those chord packs that you get ads for, $50, $20, whatever. Those are fairly stupid considering that at this point you actually know how to build chords, but admittedly it can be kind of a time saver just to grab some MIDI chords and throw them into your DAW. So a few years back, this guy got really mad at all of those ads, and instead of doing what I normally do when I get angry, which is just kind of get cranky and grumpy, became a katana of anger and created a downloadable folder with every chord that you will ever possibly need, and it's down in the description below. So have a blast with it. Learn a lot about how chords and melodies are constructed with it. Okay, so that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys got a lot out of this one. I think this is actually the most important one that I've done, considering it has to do with how music is actually built. We can learn all of our fancy Ableton tricks, but without music to play, Ableton is just a piano sitting in a corner collecting dust, you know? And lastly, of course, if you like this video, please do hit the like and subscribe button. A big thank you to all of you guys who subscribed. That really meant a lot. It really did brighten my day a considerable amount. So honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I've got some ideas for some pretty interesting directions that we go in. Comments are always open to any suggestion. I did take out the white flashes. That seemed to be a thing that was bothering people. So I'm definitely open to any of your feedback. Just let me know. All right. Well, it was great seeing everybody, and talk to you soon. Bye.